All right, folks, glad you can join me in this series, this succession, a couple of days in a row of vlogs of chatting and running through ideas. Sooner or later, I'm bound to have a pretty precise discussion instead of one that's all over the place. It's hard to not be all over the place. Anyway, but that's not going to stop us. We'll talk about the ideas that we want to talk about, as well as about 10 to 15 other, ideas that latch onto it and stuff like that. It's funny how ideas can behave very similar to cellular activity, biological activity. All right. So yeah. So in the sense that we have biological interactions and activity, which in one way to describe them, based on beneficial functions and results and stuff like that. We have gradually or over time, spontaneously, short period of time. But the point is that we get some kind of development of a more complex system, because overall, or one of the reasons is that complex system is beneficial in some way. One of the reasons and stuff like that. Sometimes it's by accident, or in the sense that there's a couple of choices that could have happened. It doesn't mean that one was the perfect one or whatever. But wow. So that's that then, right? So this is going to be the first idea discussion, which is a freestyle one, which I wasn't really planning on having. But okay. So let's state our case then. So thoughts behave like cellular activity. Thoughts behave like biological activity. Thoughts behave like an evolution, like a biological evolution, like an evolution of a biology, like from a simple system to a complex system, or a more complex system, from simple relationships and compounds to complex compounds and stuff. So do thoughts. When you have an idea and it gives rise to other ideas, it gives rise to other thoughts. We could think of those other thoughts as mitosis, right? So the ideas could split, replicate, duplicate, and also have versions of themselves, lesser and newer versions of themselves and stuff. And complexity continues to develop. The evolution of an idea, right? Sure. And the evolution could also be a deconstruction of an idea as well. But even the deconstruction of an idea might serve some kind of purpose. The same way we've considered how destruction and violent behavior and even evil serves a purpose and function. In a fundamental sense, or nature, not just in our human perception and behavior and rules of things and stuff, right? So where were we? Yeah. So let me repeat that again in case it'll give me some more ideas on the thing. So thoughts behave like a cellular activity, and so molecular. And so it's not just cellular, we're talking about molecular, right? We're talking about the molecules and stuff, the building blocks of life, things like that. So do thoughts. So let's see, is there some kind of threshold? Is there some kind of, you know what I mean, limit, border, or some kind of point where a certain complexity in the thought leads to something entirely new, or something massively new or different? What does it mean to have an evolution in thought and stuff? And what are thoughts capable of doing? How in tune and connected are thoughts? Okay, so when we say frequency, and even I do, for lack of a better, or just because we all understand, but when we just say the word frequency, it's sort of incomplete in a sense. What are we talking about? The frequency of what? What are we referring to when we talk about that particular rate, or even a wavelength, or whatnot? Occurrence or recurrence, some kind of cycle, right? What are we talking about and stuff like that? So in our thoughts, the frequency of our thoughts, so which would be the frequency of our brain activity, and so of course we're talking about electrical, and we're talking about vibration as well. It could be really small, whatnot, but we still pick it up. We have machines that pick up all that stuff, so we know that they happen. We know that can be an effective way to represent the activity in the brain. It's a tricky one because where we're going now, where we're moving to, is where we do these measurements and stuff, and we say, oh, okay, well, a person has laughed, but we can identify or isolate or locate an area in the brain, mechanisms and stuff that are involved with the laughter, and then we say, well, the laughter is really sort of like the illusionatory, the illusion nature of the mechanical action, which is the actual thing and stuff. And so this sort of becomes this battle, or this where some people try to use that understanding to discredit or lessen the value of the actual laughter, at least in the perception or descriptive side or the value side of emotion, in terms of emotion, and saying, well, yeah, emotion is whatever, but the truth of your emotion is that it's just a certain vibration, it's just a certain stimulation that's happening in these type of cellular areas or organs and components of the brain, which we're talking neural. And well, right? So we're talking neural. Anyway, I'm not that I'm not aware that we're just, you know what I mean? That we just took two right angles from the very beginning of this, which might have been I'm aware of that. I'm letting it go in case there's some good stuff that I'm mentioning and stuff like that. And I mean, on the fly and stuff. So I always it could be like 5 minutes later of talking, I'll remember like 5 minutes earlier, and I say, oh, wait a minute, there might have been a better word that I could have used and stuff like that, but hey man, vlog, it's so long as I'm not sitting here trying to, you know what I mean, rewrite a textbook right on the fly and stuff like that. That's not the point. What we're doing is we're exploring ideas, and the ideas that we're exploring are we're considering have a biological nature to them as well. We don't have to, not trying to say that we can describe ideas as a biology and stuff, but the cool thing is I've always held myself to this type of idea that I can take any set of science, I can take any kind of mechanic and use that to represent any other kind of science, or in some kind of part, or entirely, directly or indirectly. I think in some kind of really cool ultimate premise or theory, I think we all understand that, in the sense that everything, in some aspect or level, everything is connected. So we should at some point be able to take any kind of mathematic, any type of numeral symbolism and stuff like that, and use that to represent anything else, and even emotions and illusions and lies and stuff like that. And we should be able to take words and language and terminology, and semantics, and also use those to equally or just as effectively talk about anything. Let's just take one more right angle and bring us back to the idea that your thoughts can evolve, and the thoughts can behave just like cellular structures, just like molecular nature can behave and stuff like that. So if we can use chemistry to help us represent, describe, and understand, a biology and a molecular behavior, and on a molecular level, a molecular scale, and it's not just molecular, man. I just like that word, it sounds really cool. Not just that it sounds really cool. I mean, if you had to throw a dart at a certain scale, molecular scale is really good. I think, pretty sure, like if you go below the molecular scale, you're starting to really, not even if you're starting to, whatever, but you're getting, atomic and stuff like that. It changes a little bit and stuff. It loses a little bit of the life. The atomic scale, it loses a little bit of the life. No disrespect to the atomic scale, man, please. And I know when it wants to throw down, it can throw down really massive, right? So we're not really looking for none of these, I'm not looking for that reaction, dude, man. Dude, keep your electrons, man. Keep that nucleus together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you want to throw a dart at a certain level where, you know, shit is really shaking and baking and stuff like that, which is really cool, and you needed to make a commitment of drawing your line and drawing your sides, you want to go molecular, you know? This way from molecular, it's just a hop skip to cellular. That's really cool. You know what I mean? If you're going to throw yourself on the atomic scale, you're also a hop, a skip away from subatomic, and it's a, you know, it's a whole additional beast and stuff like that. So yeah, so thoughts behave. Thoughts. There's a biological. Right. There's a biological nature to thoughts and stuff like that. Not unheard of for me. No surprise that this comes out of my mouth and stuff like that, because I have a couple of other ideas and stuff about describing reality overall, and I probably and that there's, excuse me, and that there's a biological nature for everything, including what we currently describe as not biological, non-living material and stuff like that. So, yeah.